Welcome back to Triple E Farm Outdoors. This is going to start a series of videos that we want to make regarding habitat management conservation. You've seen a lot of our videos. We fish, we hunt, super enjoy that. That's a passion of ours. But as most hunters also agree, in order to continue with the lifestyle that we like and the passions we want to pursue, you have to be stewards of the land, stewards of the wildlife. So this is going to be a series on what we're doing here at Triple B Farm with regards to conservation. Probably saw one of my other habitat videos where we had some windstorm damage last year and did a lot of cleanup. And in that process, we got hooked up with a logger who wanted to come clean up some of the trees. And in that space, because we're a classified forest, we needed to bring in our Department of Natural Resources forester for our county here in Indiana. And he came out and walked with us and introduced us to what they call the EQIP program, Environmental Quality Incentives Program. It is a program that the Department of Agriculture has that can help with the costs associated with conservation for specific things that your state deems as important, in our case, for the forests of Indiana. So my forester got me in touch with the National Conservation Resources Services, which is part of the USDA, and I got some information about the programs that they had and what was available, and I began what I would call an arduous journey in getting all of my paperwork and approvals done, but super worth the time. I'm not going to go into a lot of details about that. You can hit me with a DM. You can reach out to Triple B Farm Outdoors via Instagram or an email to beardsbucksandbourbon@gmail.com to ask details about how we went about getting the approvals. But suffice it to say, it's been well worth the journey up to this point. Now, the key step that had to happen first while we were applying for the approvals for their program was my Department of Natural Resources forester for the state of Indiana had to put together a conservation plan. We talked about what my focus was going to be. My focus was on improving the stand of trees, our forest, as well as improving habitat for the wildlife that is living on this property and surrounding properties. So my forester put together a plan that really focuses on removing non-native species that are impeding the growth of the hardwoods that we want to grow. So we want to grow the oaks, the walnuts, the cherries, tulip poplars, those mass-producing trees and valuable hardwood. We wanted to improve those stands, and at the same time, in order to do that, we needed to really go aggressively at some of the non-native species that are here that are providing a canopy of shade, inhibiting the growth of new seedlings of those trees we want. And this property, just like many large chunks of property with a home on it, at some point in the past was homesteaded or farmed. We've got an old livestock pond back in the woods. There's some old farm equipment around. And one of the telltale signs that it was used for farming and homesteading is you can find barbed wire, pieces of barbed wire growing in the trees, especially along the ridge tops where they had it fenced so that livestock could, without getting down to the bottoms and potentially getting stuck or getting hurt, kept them on these ridge tops. And what happens when that occurs and livestock grazes down into your forest plants is oftentimes in this part of the state, you get a lot of multi-floor rows. So we have a lot of that. We have a lot of Japanese stilt grass. We've got some honeysuckles. Those plants are shading the ground. They're providing cover in a lot of cases for wildlife, but at the same time shading the ground and not allowing the trees that we want to prosper to get enough sunlight. In addition to that, we've got some non-native trees in our forest, and I talked about this in one of my other videos with regards to the beech trees. So beech trees have created a canopy about 6 feet off the ground. In some cases, we've got some giant beech trees that are creating a lot of canopy shading the ground, and we're going to go after those. And all of those got built into the conservation plan that my forester put together and that I agreed on. So we submitted that plan along with all the application paperwork. And in March of this year, we were awarded some funds to help us take care of that. Not an insubstantial amount of funds, too, by the way. So we've got a 4-year plan that I agreed upon with the USDA and with my forester on what we're going to do to kind of take back the forest from some of these non-native species. Now, I think my challenge at this point is going to be the time it's going to take to do it and trying to sequence when it's best to do some of these things. And this video series will show what we're going to do for beech tree removal. It's going to show what we're going to do for some of this, especially multiflora rose and Japanese stiltgrass, things that we need to do. But it's a matter of timing, because a lot of what we're going to wind up doing involves cutting and applying the right herbicide to kill off some of these things that we are targeting. Grapevines is another great one, right? We don't have a lot of grapevines, but some of our areas are pretty thick in grapevines. Grapevines are important for wildlife. It's got some shaggy bark on it that I know birds use to build nests and things like that. But at the same time, they can be super detrimental to a forest if they're on climbing up and hanging on some of the trees that you're targeting on and improving in your stand. So one of the things I'll be doing besides cutting and herbicides for a lot of these non-native species, I'm going to be going after cutting some grapevines and applying a little bit of herbicide to those. But back to what I was talking about, it's a matter of sequencing when it's going to be a good time to do that. Most herbicide applications you want to do in the late fall when the growing season for these things has really stopped, and at that point things start to shift to where you get into the fall and these plants naturally draw saps. The nutrients in the plants start to draw down into the ground, which is the perfect time to apply some herbicide so it draws down the ground and kills some of these roots. It is now in May. Hunting seasons are over, and it's now a matter of sequencing the timing of when we can get a lot of this work done. The plan has lists some high areas of concentration with heavy infestations. Typically, like I mentioned, those are along those ridge tops where a lot of grazing has happened. They have high growth areas and they've got medium growth areas, and it's a matter of sequencing when we're going to get in there. Because right now in May, we've got turkeys on nests. I don't want to interrupt a lot of that vegetation if they've got nests and they're trying to raise their brood. And at the same time, I got to find the right timing for when these plants will be more susceptible to some of the herbicides we're going to do. So I'll be creating a series of videos around some of the work that we're going to be doing. The contract is for 4 years. So I have 4 years of work that needs to get done with incremental payments from the Department of Agriculture over that time period. So I'm going to start a little bit of grapevine stuff. It's still not a great time to do grapevines, but at least then I'm not really going to mess with the nesting turkeys at this point. So I'm going to start with some grapevine cutting and herbicide applications. And then in July and in August, as we start to get stands ready, fall food plots in for deer, I'll start going after some of the multiflora rose and some of those other species that I mentioned. So anyway, it wasn't easy to do. It was pretty straightforward on what needed to happen. But I think it's super important for people to know there are resources out there. If you are a landowner, there are resources out there from government agencies, the USDA, that will help you improve your agriculture land, your farmland, your timber stands, if it's aligned with the focus of what the state has as a priority that they want to improve on. And that's what we've done here in Indiana. So super excited to create this series. Hope you enjoy it. Again, if you got questions, you can reach out via email, beardsbucksandbourbon@gmail.com, or hit me up with DM on Instagram. Check out our videos, like and subscribe, and we will check you later.